Welcome to another edition of Pach-Attack. This week's question, Vinicius Carvalho, and Carvalho is spelled the Portuguese Carvalho. I have no idea what any of that means, but I love that name. Do you believe Nintendo is about to Dreamcast themselves, I would say, in the next generation by releasing a premature console? Premature, meaning that it's not ready to survive on its own. I don't think this is a premature console. I think that this is a really late-term console. I think this console should have been born 2 years ago or 3 years ago. I invite you guys to do a quick Google search on Wii 2 and Pach-Attack. I was calling for it in 2009, and then that didn't happen. So I was calling for it in 2010, and then that didn't happen. So now we're looking at 2012. Wow. 2 or 3 years late, not premature. Bad call there. The reason that you're saying it's premature, I think you're really trying to suggest it's not going to sell well. And I think that if, in fact, it's a lot like an Xbox 360 in terms of graphics, frame rate, kind of control scheme, then it's probably not going to sell well unless it's priced a lot cheaper. And I don't think they're launching a console at $150. So, yeah, I think they are about to Dreamcast themselves. I don't think the Wii U is going to be as popular as probably Nintendo thinks it's going to be. The question is, what does Nintendo do next? And I don't know the answer yet. We'll see. Let's see how the Wii U sells. And I'm not going to predict its demise till I know the pricing and the features. When we know more about it, we'll have a better opinion. All right, fellow babies, we got a question from Twitter this week from @Srithik What is the total budget for an average and AAA game? How many copies must a game sell to be considered profitable? Boy, average and AAA. Unfortunately, there really aren't that many non-AAA games being made anymore. All the guys who used to make them are kind of gone. That was all the 3DOs and Acclaims and Midways and Ataris and Interplays and BAM, and did I miss anybody? IDOS. Used to have a lot of guys making a lot of bad games. The only guys left that make a lot of kind of more casual games, Majesco, THQ, Biggest Loser kind of games, Zumba Fitness. So I can't give you an average number. I can guess that an average game is probably in the high single-digit millions, so $7, $8, $9 million. A AAA game ranges, depending on how big they think it's going to be, 20 to 60 million. You'll hear about games that cost more, and I think that the biggest change we've seen in development of AAA games is that there's back-end loaded spending. So I'll give you a good example. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, so not this one, the one two generations ago. The Infinity Ward guys made it. They took about 2 years to make the game with a studio of probably 150 people. So, average wages where they are probably slightly above $100,000. Probably got to about $40 million in direct costs to make that game. The bonus structure was over $120 million. So the bonuses owed to those guys, that's in dispute right now, but alleged bonuses owed to those guys between them and the studio is about $120 million. So you had about $160 million total cost, but only 40 to actually produce the game. If the game had flopped, then Activision would have only spent about $40 million. What is the break even? How many copies must a game sell? Pretty much, we've gone through the economics before on the show. $60 retail, $12 goes to the retailer, $12 goes to the console manufacturer. That leaves you with $36. On a $36 to the publisher game, you can take $36 and divide it into $40 million. So it's slightly over 1 million units just to cover the R&D. But there's also marketing expense, which is usually about another $9. So it really leaves you more like $27. And so probably something like 1.5 million units just to break even. And that doesn't cover the overhead. That doesn't cover the salaries that the CEOs and the lawyers and the human resources people make. But somewhere between 1.5 million to break even on one of those games, which is why they don't take as many risks as they used to. And it's why games like Homefront, which was a pretty good game, didn't make very much money. You know, it's the reason why games like Mafia 2 didn't make very much money, because they didn't sell very many copies more than that 1.5 million. They probably made, sold 2.5 million units. Really now it takes 4 and 5 million unit sellers to make money. You get an Elder Scrolls selling 10 million, a Battlefield selling 10 million. Those guys are making money. Thank you, fellow babies, for joining us on this week's Pach-Attack. If you have questions, you can submit them by clicking the link below, or you can submit them to me directly on Twitter @MichaelPachter, and please copy @RohanLikesPants, because Rohan selects the questions. Thanks again. Oh, when I showed it.
Oh, never mind. I thought that was. That's your shirt.
Oh, my
It looked
long.
like a cable from where I was sitting. Sorry.
It's just a big fat ass pushing the shirt out. All right. Again, fellow babies, 2012, different tie.